Hello there and welcome. This is Ask a Lawyer on CP24. Great to have you back for this week. It's good to see you. John Scholes here, and momentarily joining us will be Lior Samfiru, of course, employment lawyer at EmploymentLawyer.ca. Right off the top, we always tell you how to reach Lior and his team with any matters in the workplace. Do so. Phone number 1-855-821-5900. Ask at EmploymentLawyer.ca, and we'll give that throughout the show as well. As always, it's a busy half hour. We got some phone calls coming in from our radio shows. We'll flip over to the disability law side of the firm in just a bit. Some emails and questions. It's going to be a busy half hour, so we will get started. Probation periods, 3 key questions that we're going to get to as a main topic in just a bit as well. But Lior, as you know, we always start off with a case of the day, or a little warm up, as we like to say. What do you got this week, pal? What's going on?
Hey, John, great to be here to be talking about employment law to help our viewers understand their rights in the workplace. This is the time where you get those questions answered, where you get the help that you need, where you know what to do if you're facing a workplace dilemma, if your boss is not treating you properly, if your job has changed, if you're being asked to sign documents, and of course, if you lost your job. In all these situations, you need to know what your rights are, and I'm here to tell you, you have rights. We have extensive rights. The law provides protections, the law provides options, the law provides consequences for employers that don't do what they're supposed to do. And we try to cover as much ground on this show every single week to make sure that if your situation, if you come across a situation, you know what to do. Of course, this is only a 30-minute show. Beyond the show, so easy to reach me. You can call, you can email. You'll see that contact information throughout the show, so stay tuned for that. But right now, let's talk about a situation that came across my desk over the past week or so. I spoke with a gentleman that unfortunately was dealing with some mental health issues. He knew that it was affecting his workplaces. He believed that his employer was aware of that. And at one point, it really got bad. And in this very delicate state of mind, when he had this breakdown, he told his employer, that's it, I'm leaving, I can't work here anymore. And it was very obvious that this guy was struggling. Well, fast forward a few days later, he's better, he's gotten some medication, he's feeling a heck of a lot better. He realizes what he did, and he contacts his employer and says, employer, I had a mental breakdown, that's why I left, I didn't mean that, I want to continue working, I'm better now, I can go back to work right away, I'm looking forward to coming back immediately. His employer, by the way, not sensitive to it, doesn't care, sorry, you quit, we don't want you here, you're gone. Very, very upsetting for this guy. Luckily, he calls my office, we talk, and here's what I tell him. I said, number one, in the heat of the moment, if someone resigns in the heat of the moment, you're allowed to take that back if you do that quickly. And if your employer doesn't want to take you back, it becomes a termination and you're owed severance. So right off the bat, this employer has terminated this employee, even though he had resigned initially, and he's owed severance. But it's more interesting than that. They knew he had a medical condition. He told them he had a medical condition. Despite that, they say, we don't care how that condition affected you, you're gone. That now is a human rights violation, potentially. If now he's being treated this way, when his employer knew he's dealing with a medical condition, that's illegal. That could be discrimination under the Human Rights Code. So there's additional damages and compensation owed to him. This employer really did it wrong. There's going to be significant consequences. I'm going to make sure of that. But I wanted to remind everyone of these 2 things. Number one, heat of the moment. If you resign in the heat of the moment, you are able to take that back. And if you do something under the influence of a medical condition and you tell your employer, they really can't hold that against you. We all need some help sometimes, some support, some understanding. And this employer didn't provide that. And as I said, there are going to be consequences to that.
Lior, quickly, as far as taking back that resignation, you said quickly, a couple hours, couple days, what's your threshold?
Yeah, usually within a few days. Certainly the earlier, the better. Once the employer has relied on it, so for example, the employer went out and hired someone new because you resigned, it's not really going to be possible to take that back. But if you do it soon enough, within the first couple of days, you're fine. I've had quite a few cases over the years where that's exactly what's happened. Mm-hmm. And when the employer said no, now they have to pay severance. By the way, John, for this person, severance for him could easily be a year's pay.
All right, we'll keep moving along here, Lior, from the radio show. Here's our first phone call for the show. Listen up.
I've been working for 15 years in a retail setting in a store, full-time, laid off because of the tariffs. and economy. And so now I've been laid off, but my company has yet to even mention anything about a severance package. I'm just curious, am I entitled to any severance even though I've been working for 15 years?
Wow.
Yeah, there's no way to lose your job or even to be placed on a temporary layoff without getting severance, whether you work for 15 years or 15 months, it does not matter. So yeah, this employer may be trying to figure it out. They may say, well, we don't know how the tariffs are going to impact us. We need to put you off work for a while. Doesn't matter. The law doesn't get suspended because there's tariffs, because an employer is dealing with a new economic reality. So of course, this person is entitled to severance anytime, by the way, for you at home. Anytime you lose your job or you're put off work, doesn't matter if it's for legitimate economic reasons, you're going to be owed severance. So for this person, we know he's owed severance. What we need to now figure out is how much severance. We're going to use our severance calculator tool. You can find that, of course, at EmploymentLawyer.ca. Let's use that right now and see what we get. So he's 64 years of age, been working in retail for 16 years almost. Company has not paid any severance. You see he's owed easily 16 months pay, and it's potentially more than that. That's frankly a conservative assessment. It could even be 18 to 20 months of severance that he's owed. So that's why we use the severance calculator. Again, you can find that at PocketEmploymentLawyer.ca, free and anonymous, so check it out.
Great stuff, Lior, and thank you as well for tuning into that. We got to slide into a real quick break. On the other side, 3 key questions, probation periods. That's what we're going to cover on the main topic. That's coming up here on Ask a Lawyer on CP24, so stay with us.
Lost your job? Disability denied? Ask a Lawyer is here for you. Each week, experts from EmploymentLawyer.ca answer your questions. Visit cp24.com/askalawyer and watch Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on CP24.
Okay, and welcome back to Ask a Lawyer. This is CP24. Thanks for joining us. John Scholes, Lior Samfiru here every week. Employment Lawyer at EmploymentLawyer.ca. Reach out to Lior. Make that phone call. Always have it with you. 1-855-821-5900. Ask at EmploymentLawyer.ca. Use that QR code there as well. It is that time of the half hour, Lior. We get to our main topic, and this week, probationary periods. Probation questions. I got 3 of them. First one, common one actually. What does it really mean to be on probation? What does that mean?
So being on probation, it means that you're during a period of time in which both employer and employee have an opportunity to evaluate the long-term fit between them. So a probationary period is a trial period, if you will, where you find out if this is a good employer for you, and the employer finds out if this is a good skill set that you have to match the company's needs. So it's like dating before you get married. You date to see if you want to get married. Same thing with the probation. The thing is, John, about probation is it's not automatic. A probationary period is not automatic just because you started working, okay? A probationary period only happens if you sign an employment agreement that says you're on probation. If you sign an agreement, then you're on probation for that period of time. If you did not sign it, you're not on probation, not at all, even if you just started a new job.
How long can that probation be, Lior, and can it be extended by your employer?
As a practical matter, a probationary period can only last for 3 months. And the reason for that is really there's only a 3-month period during which an employer is allowed to let an employee go without any severance. Of course, that's only if the employment agreement says so. But even if the employment agreement says you're on probation for 4 or 5 or 6 months, that doesn't really matter because after 3 months they have to pay severance anyway. So there's really no point for probation. So an employer can say that they've extended your probation or that you're on probation for more than 3 months, but it doesn't really have any effect, any meaning. The only time a probationary period really has any meaning is if it's in the first 3 months of employment, and again, only if the employment agreement that you signed says that you are. It's not automatic.
So, Lior, if you're on probation within that 3 months and say you get let go during your probationary period, are you owed any severance? Because it's only been 3 months and you're on probation, right?
So if your probationary period, if you have an employment agreement that says you're on probation for the first 3 months and during those 3 months we can let you go without severance, then it's possible maybe for the employer to let you go without severance in the first 3 months, okay? So potentially that's the case. But if the employment agreement doesn't say that, or you don't even have an employment agreement, yes, you're owed severance even in the first 3 months of employment. So you may have worked for 1 or 2 or 3 months. Yes, you're going to be owed severance. And by the way, John, that severance that you're owed in the first 3 months is going to be calculated in months, not days, not even weeks. You could have worked for 2.5 months and could be owed 3 months severance. So just because you're a short service employee doesn't mean you don't get severance. Whether you work for a month, a year, 25 years, doesn't matter. If you lose your job, we need to talk because you're likely owed much more than you realize.
Okay, so if you want more information or drill down a little further on probationary periods, always call Lior. Go to pocket.EmploymentLawyer.ca. Always a good start. Second phone call for the show, Lior, from the radio show. Here it comes. Listen up.
I work in a sales department, 2 of us doing the same position, and they hired a third person, slow times. What are your thoughts there?
Are you on commission?
Yes.
And is it fair to say that this will reduce your commission because now you're sharing the sales with another guy?
Absolutely.
What kind of an impact do you think realistically this is going to have on your commissions?
Probably 50 to 75,000.
Wow.
Yeah. No. So
Wow.
Here's the thing, John. This is a pay cut. It doesn't matter if your employer directly cuts your pay or does something that results in your pay being reduced. It's a pay cut. So this guy's going to be taking a $50,000 to $75,000 pay cut because his employer decided to take away some of his commissions and give it to someone else. They're not allowed to do that. Your employer cannot make significant changes to the terms of your employment. That means if they cut his pay, whichever way they've done it, that could be a constructive dismissal. Now, you can't physically restrain and stop your employer from doing that, but what you can do is consider your employment as being terminated and get your full severance, up to 24 months of pay. And that may be better than taking that pay cut. And also remember, if you take the pay cut and let's say a year later they let you go, now the severance that they owe you is being calculated on the lower pay. You don't want that. So if your employer changes your commission, takes it away, or takes away the bonus, changes the structure so that you're making less money, that could absolutely be a constructive dismissal, and we need to talk about it right away.
We got time to take a short pause here, Lior, and we're going to switch tracks. We're going to, jump lanes and get into disability law for a little bit in the next segment. Lior will be handling that as well, so stick around as we continue more Ask a Lawyer right here on CP24.
Lost your job? Disability denied? Ask a Lawyer is here for you. Each week, experts from EmploymentLawyer.ca answer your questions. Visit cp24.com/askalawyer and watch Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on CP24.
Okay, we're back. Thank you so much for sticking around through that short break here to Ask a Lawyer on CP24. Always reach out to Lior and his team. Don't you know the phone number right there, 1-855-821-5900. The email for the purpose of this segment, the disability segment, is ask@disabilityrights.ca. Always use that QR code as well. Walk us through it briefly, Lior, because I know you're super tight with the disability guys on the other side of the hallway. You guys work in tandem all the time. Break it down briefly what you guys do.
So John, when we help employees, the employees that we work with are usually very vulnerable, but not always. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they have many options and other things happening for them. But if you're someone that's off on a disability, if you can't work, you're dealing with a medical condition, you're always vulnerable. And that's why it's so upsetting that someone would try to take away or take advantage of you in that vulnerable state. And that's what we see often on our disability practice. When someone is off on a medical leave, on a disability, they can't work. They rely on these benefits from an insurance company, sometimes from the government, and then they get denied. Or you're not sick enough, or we don't believe you, or you should just go back to work, who cares what your doctor says. We see that all the time, and really your heart breaks for these people in these very difficult, vulnerable situations. But the good news is, we've said enough is enough. We have a whole team dealing with this exclusively, helping people that have been denied disability benefits by an insurance company, people that have been cut off disability benefits before they should, people where the insurance company is not cooperating with them. We deal with that. We take that burden off the individual so that they know that they don't have to worry about it. They can focus on their health. We've been extremely successful in resolving these disputes very quickly. So if you've been cut off of disability, you've been denied disability, you're not getting benefits, your insurance company is not believing your doctor, if any of that applies to you, let's talk. We have a whole team there to help you, and man, are they good.
Lior, in that regard, I think we have a decent phone call lined up that kind of illustrates what you were just talking about. So let's listen up to that.
I am a flight attendant and went off on disability. My claim was accepted a year and a half ago. My insurer has just decided to cancel my claim, saying there wasn't enough medical information to support it. My doctor has supplied them with forms that they requested, plus test results and letters explaining my illness, and they still deny it. I am now on my third appeal, for which the deadline is the end of this month.
The dreaded appeal. It's never good. Never works.
So not enough medical information. That's excuse 136 that insurance companies use to deny or cut off benefits. Oh, we don't have enough information when they do. It's never going to be perfect. You know, we're talking about medical information. It's not exact, but if the doctor says you're not able to work and here's why, that should be enough. It's an excuse an insurance company uses to cut you off, and then they throw you a bone. They say, oh, we have this appeal process, go for it. That appeal gets denied. That appeal is a waste of time. But then when you feel like you've done it and when they deny it, you'll think, well, there's nothing I can do. So here's the thing. It's not uncommon for the insurance company to cut you off before they should. They hope you'll go away or use their appeal process. Don't. It's a waste of time. Let us do our job. Let us use the legal process to get you the benefits that you're owed. Don't use their process. We have a legal system designed to force the right thing to happen, to force an insurance company to do the right thing. They can't hide behind their process. So if this is your situation, just like with this poor lady, let's talk. Let's connect with my team so we can help you.
And by the way, the consultations are free on the disability side, so don't hesitate to make that call. I got time for a question for you, Lior. Here it comes. It says, my brother was fired for being on LTD for several years and was given 2 weeks' pay. Does he have to report that to the insurance company?
So generally speaking, if you get money from your employer while you're receiving disability benefits from an insurance company, yes, you do need to tell the insurance company about that. But the real question here is he owed more than 2 weeks' pay, or is it even legal to let him go? Okay? So severance, that severance may be deducted. The real question is, how much is he owed? The only way his employer can terminate in that situation if it's clear he's not going to come back to work. And even then, he may be owed more than 2 weeks' pay. It could be many weeks or even months' pay. So let's make sure that we talk about the right amount. He could be owed as much as 24 months' pay. If you're off on a disability, your employer shouldn't let you go. If it's clear you're not coming back to work, maybe then we call this frustration of contract, but that is difficult. Just because you've been away a long time does not mean you're not going to be coming back to work. So anytime you hear from your employer that they've terminated you while you're off on a disability, we should talk about it right away.
Thank you, Lior. Fantastic. We're going to take a short break. We got time for one more phone call. We'll do that on the other side, so you stick around as well as we continue Ask a Lawyer on CP24.
Lost your job? Disability denied? Ask a Lawyer is here for you. Each week, experts from EmploymentLawyer.ca answer your questions. Visit CP24.com/askalawyer and watch Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on CP24.
And welcome back to Ask a Lawyer, CP24. I'll give you that contact information again to reach out to Lior and his team with Employment Law Matters. Phone number 1-855-821-5900. Ask at EmploymentLawyer.ca as well. We have time to wrap up the show nicely again this week, Lior, with a phone call. Love these, so we'll get to it. Listen up, Al.
I've been working at the same company in sales for 6 years when I got laid off. Now it's a whole year later, and I'm still waiting to be called back, especially since all of my coworkers were brought back months ago. Does my time off get added on to my seniority and count towards severance? So if I'm fired, I would get 7 weeks of pay instead of 6, right?
John, he's asking the wrong question. There's an assumption there that the layoff was legal. Well, it wasn't. For most people, a temporary layoff is not legal. It's a constructive dismissal entitling you to severance. Yes, the time you spend on the layoff does count towards your seniority, but that layoff was not legal to begin with. Now, he's asking, do I get 6 or 7 weeks? The answer is neither. He gets a heck of a lot more. Remember, it's not a week per year of service if you lost your job. It's much, much more. So temporary layoff, not legal. For most people, you're owed much more severance than a week per year. Let's see how much severance. We're going to use the severance calculator again. You can find that at PocketEmploymentLawyer.ca. Let's use that right now and see what we get. 52 years of age, been there for 6 years, maybe it's 7 with the time off. Either way, he's owed right around 8 months of pay, not 6 or 7 weeks like he thought, but 8 months. John, I see this all the time, individuals thinking, assuming that they're owed a lot less severance that they're really owed. That's why the severance calculator is there. Again, PocketEmploymentLawyer.ca, free and anonymous. Over 2 million people have used it. Do the same, use it as well.
And he didn't really have to sit around for an entire year. He could have pulled the plug a lot sooner, right?
That's the thing. He could have gotten his severance already a year ago and moved on instead of being with minimal or no income for all this time. For most people, that severance is something that you're owed right away because that temporary layoff is not legal. And that's true whether you work for a big company, small company, either way.
And that's why we call it Layoff Limbo. Thank you so much, Lior. We're going to wrap it up there for this week. And thank you for tuning in, by the way. Keep those phone calls coming to Lior at the firm and the radio shows as well. More details, always more information. Always reach out, 1-855-821-5900. Ask at EmploymentLawyer.ca. The only website you need, by the way, is PocketEmploymentLawyer.ca. Free and anonymous. And always reach out as well. Just go to cp24.com/askalawyer. And that is it. You are taken care of. And we'll talk to you again next week. Thank you so much for tuning in.